Hi everyone! Welcome to Lentamania tutorial. My name is Anna Sachno and today we're going to crochet a seashell bag. The bag is 20 centimeters wide, 20 centimeters high and just about 7 centimeters deep. It's rather bulky and puffy, and to make it I used biscuit yarn of cocoa color, a stitch marker and a 9mm hook. Mine is from Prim Ergonomics. This hook size ensures the bag is puffy and bulky, like that. I also use leather accessories, D-rings, and a chain shoulder strap with leather insert. If you like my channel, you can make a certain donation. With the help of these donations, I'll be able to translate subtitles to English and voice over more tutorials. You may also add subtitles in your own language and in this way contribute to the channel's development. I would really appreciate your help. It means a lot for my channel. We'll need one skein of standard 7 to 9mm yarn. I've chosen a cocoa colored skein by Biscuit brand. Also, 9mm hook is a deliberate choice. If you want the bag to bend rather well, but if you don't want it to become too rigid, use a bigger hook. This way, the bag will be bulkier and puffier and bend better. First, make 21 chain stitches. The first chain stitch counts as well. This bag can be of any size you want. If mine is too small for you, start yours by making more chain stitches. But the chain must consist of odd number of stitches in order to have one central stitch. In our case, it is the 11th stitch. It's very easy to detect. We'll crochet 10 stitches as single crochets, then triple the 11th stitch and crochet the remaining 10 as single crochets. But first, make a turning chain to level this row up. Once the chain is ready, turn it around. You may see how it looks from the back. Each stitch has this strip in the middle. You'll need to slip the hook right under it. Do not crochet the last 20-second turning chain, just skip it. Then slip the hook under the middle strip. Draw the loop and crochet 2 loops together. That's how we make our standard elements single crochets. Make 10 single crochets. I've made 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The next one, 11th stitch, must be tripled. It means we'll insert the hook into the same strip 3 times in a row and make 3 single crochets. 1, 2, insert the hook into the same place, and 3. So we've tripled the stitch. Now we need to mark the middle stitch with the stitch marker. This will help us identify the spot that requires tripling in the next row. Now I'm inserting the stitch marker and keep making 10 single crochets. Always slip the hook under the middle strip and always repeat the same steps. Let's count. Cover the tripled stitch with your hand so you don't get confused while counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And to make the 10th stitch, simply insert the hook into the largest hole. Here it is. Insert the hook and make a single crochet. The first row is ready. Let's move on to the second one. Make a turning chain and turn the work around. The next 4 rows are going to be absolutely identical. Turning chain is ready. Now skip the first stitch, slip the hook under the back loop. Not under both loops as we usually do, but just the back one. And make a single crochet. So I'm slipping the hook under back loops only. Make 1 single crochet into each stitch until you reach the one with the stitch marker in it. Make 3 single crochets. Slip the hook under the back loop only. And then don't forget to relocate the marker. This one is the middle stitch right now. Slip the hook under the back loop only. A single crochet into each stitch. Don't forget to crochet the last stitch of the row. Make a turning chain again, turn the work around, and make the next 3 rows by the same principle. Make a single crochet into each stitch without marker by slipping the hook under the back loop. Make 3 single crochets into the marked stitch. I've made 5 rows and I've got this angle piece now. Starting from the 6th row, we'll be making the flat part of the bag. To do that, we'll need to make a single crochet into each stitch without increases, in order to make a stable base and the flat part of the bag. That's how the flat part looks like after you've made several rows without increases. I've made 10 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. No increases, a single crochet into each stitch. Starting from the 11th row, we'll need to make the same angle piece from which we began, but in inverse manner. We'll do it by making decreases in the central part of the work. So turn the work around, make a turning chain, and make 14 stitches. I've made 13 single crochets and I don't take the first turning chain into account. The following 3 single crochets, 14s, 15s and 16s, are right in the middle of the work and we need to crochet them together. like one stitch. Now I'm going to partially crochet each of these single crochets. Partially means the following. You insert the hook into the stitch, pull the thread and leave it on the hook. Then insert it into the next stitch, pull the thread and leave it on the hook. Thus we've got 4 loops on the hook, which we need to crochet together. I suggest the following. Pull the outermost loop through 2 loops in the middle, and then crochet the remaining 2 loops together, as usual, in a standard way. This way, the decrease will look neater. Once the 3 stitches are crocheted together, keep on making single crochets into each stitch. Go on like that until the end of the row. In the end, you should have 13 single crochets and 1 edge stitch. In this case, everything is symmetrical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and the edge stitch. Alright. Now, simply make a turning chain, turn the work around, and make another row with decreases. From now on, we'll be making each row with decreases in the middle. We'll do that by crocheting 3 stitches together. This row will contain 12 single crochets, because we've made 1 stitch out of 3 in the previous row. In the middle of the previous row. This way, the back will become narrower on either side. If you don't want to count stitches every time, that's how you can notice the decrease. So here is the decrease that we've made in the previous row. You may notice a small pellet here. So you'll need to crochet the stitches on both sides of this decrease together. And the principle is the same. Insert the hook, draw the thread, but not crochet yet. Insert the hook again, draw the thread, do not crochet, insert the hook, draw the thread, and there are 4 loops on the hook. Pull the first loop through 2 loops in the middle. Now crochet 2 loops on the hook in a standard way. Avoid 2 big holes. Make the remaining single crochets. Hold it with your hand so you don't pull the loop too much. Keep on making single crochets until the end of the row. All in all, you should get 12 single crochets plus 1 edge stitch. Keep on crocheting in reverse order until you get 21 braids, like on the other side, where we began. There are 21 braids on that side. Here we should make the same amount of decreases to get 21 braids or stitches in the end. Decreases should be symmetrical to increases that we've made in each row. Once I've made 5 rows with decreases, similarly we've made 5 rows with increases in the beginning. I'm cutting the thread and leaving a long tail. The tail should be about 50 centimeters. Let's pull it out. We're going to use this tail to make the side parts of our bag. These ones. The chain stitches that we've made in the beginning and the last row will form the sides of our bag. And now we need to crochet them. By the way, any part of the bag can be the front. Both sides should be absolutely identical. At this point, you may even turn the back inside out, and it will look just the same. So if you start sewing from the front, as you see it, and then you don't like the seam, for example, you may always turn the work inside out and make it a back side. So how are we going to sew it together? We're going to slip the hook under both loops of the stitches, like that, and sew them together with slip stitches. Here is the tail, left from the last row. Insert the hook into the outermost stitches and draw the thread. Tightening up a bit, this loop shouldn't be too loose. Insert the hook into the next pair of stitches, draw the thread and pull loop through the other. It is called a slip stitch. Don't tighten these stitches too much, because if you do, the seam will shrink the back on the sides. Try to make stitches rather loose, but don't overdo. Just find the right balance. Insert the hook into the third pair of stitches from the edge. Draw the thread and pull one loop through the other. Keep it loose. The seam resembles braids. If you want to make sure you're doing everything alright, just look for the braids. If they're in place, everything's okay. Slip the hook under the next pair of stitches. Let me show you once again. Draw the thread and pull one loop through the other. They should lie loosely. Keep going until the end of the seam. At the end, pull the remaining tail out and weave it in on the back. So hide it. Whichever side you choose will be your back. If you like the way your back looks already, you can make it the front. In this case, you need to tuck the tail in and hide between the stitches on the back. Let's see how the seam looks on this side. That's how it looks. I personally like it better on the back side, because it visually makes the back bulkier. So I'll make this side the front. But for convenience sake, I'm going to turn it inside out and weave the tail in. You may use either a yarn needle or a hook. Insert the hook into the stitches. Do it step by step. Do not insert through too many stitches at once. 3 stitches are enough. And pull the tail through. And then insert the hook into the next 3 stitches under the outermost loops only, so the tail doesn't show itself on the front. And the last set of 3 stitches. If you are afraid the tail comes out on the front, and it may really happen during washing, just leave 1 centimeter when cutting the thread. Leave a tail of 1 centimeter. Then sew this tiny tail with regular threads using similar color. This will guarantee the tail doesn't show up on the front. And now let's crochet the other side by the same principle. I could have left a longer tail in the beginning, well, but I haven't. That's why I'm going to cut a thread from the skin. First of all, let's turn the back inside out again, so that the seams are identical. I'm taking a new thread, that's why I'm pulling it. I'm pulling the tail through the outermost loops. The tail should be from 50 to 70 centimeters long. So I'm weaving it in. You may as well sew it with regular threads. So let's begin. I want to bring it a bit closer to the start of the seam. The working method is the same. We're going to repeat just the same steps. Insert the hook into the stitches and sew them together with slip stitches. With the side parts ready, the bag starts resembling a seashell. We only need to add a couple of rows with slip stitches. It will look interesting if you make these slip stitches in different color, different but matching. I'm going to use the same color though, cocoa. Let's start from the side, so that the starting point is less evident. Strikes the eye less. I'm starting right from the place of the seam. Imagine there is a stitch instead of the seam. Slip the hook under both loops of a stitch and draw the first loop. In fact, the crocheting method is the same as for the sides. Insert the hook into the outermost stitches one by one and pull one loop through the other, forming a braid. Like that. But inserting the hook at a right angle is slightly more challenging. There are no well-defined braids here. So each time, simply slip the hook under the same number of loops to get an even edge. Let me explain a bit further here. In this row, I'm able to slip it under two outermost loops, as if under the braid. But I cannot do that in the next row. But there is a slot that resembles a loop. Slip the hook underneath. Next, under two loops. So this way I'm making the first row of slip stitches. Do it along the whole circular length of the bag. Right now you may tighten your slip stitches and the bag will get narrower towards the top. Or you can simply pick a hook of a smaller size, for example 5 or 6 millimeters. Anyway, don't make stitches too loose. Make them normal or tighten a little bit. The upper part of your bag will depend on that. Slip stitches narrow the upper part to a slight degree, but you will notice that in the end. It will be quite noticeable. I'm making 5 rows of slip stitches in spiral rounds. As you may see, I'm always slipping the hook under the back loop only, pulling one loop through the other. As a result, I get these nice braids. Keep going until you reach the place where we started the first row of slip stitches. As soon as you get there, pull the tail to the back and weave it in. We finished the row on the side, so it won't strike the eye too much. Alright, here is our bag. In order for your bag to close, you need to choose a closing mechanism. I would suggest a magnetic clasp, like that. You may sew it on the inside of the bag, somewhere around here. It will clasp, close your bag. Or you may use this leather flap and crochet it to the back of your bag. So right here. In this case, you'll need a portfolio lock. Pick a small lock with screws. In this case, it will hold the leather flap better. You may also use a special closure for this bag. The picture is right here on the screen. You will find the link below this video. They go in different colors, you can pick whichever you like. All of these accessories, yarn, crocheting tools can be found in lentamania.ru online store. The link is on the screen. We ship worldwide using different freight carriers. Good luck with your bag, and bye-bye!